My name is Björn. I'm going to be your MC today, and we've got a bit of excitement. Raise your left hand if you like excitement.
Give this one to someone.
Okay, 4 of you. So the 4 of you can stand here, and the rest, you'll be in a little special corner.
Sorry, darling. Let's give this out. There we go. Ooh!
Hip, hip. Okay, you can stand in the VIP corner. Okay. Raise your right hand if you like winning a prize. Oh, the 4 of you as well. The rest. Okay, so the 4 of you that like to win a prize can stand over here, because I'll tell you what the prize is, and then I'll tell you how to win. Right? If you have a look at the ends of your station, something called a KitchenAid, that is the prize up for grabs today. 1 though. And then the competition got real. So, Aliya's making it's a Persian rice dish.
It's actually a Middle Eastern milk rice pudding.
Milk rice pudding. Please say the word, Aliya.
Muhallabia.
And at the end, you have to be able to say the word as well.
Muhallabia.
Muhallabia, right? And so this dish is really quite fun, but takes a little bit of time. So what you need to do at the end, Aliya's going to walk around and taste your dish. And the one that she chooses to be the best dish will be the winner of the KitchenAid. Right, the KitchenAid is standing over here. I will lift it up so you can see. I love it. The competition just got real, right? And while the dish is being made, Aliya's actually going to let you then make some tahini chocolate fudge balls as well. So it's going to be really great. Having said that, let me do an introduction. So the thing that I really love about Aliya is that she's passionate about people, passionate about food. And not only is she a naturopath and a whole lot more, which she'll tell you about today, is that she really is really great at what she does. And so without further ado, I'm going to let her introduce herself a little bit more. But please do 2 things. Put your hands to thank you for coming. And please put your hands together for Aliya.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Plant Powered Show. I don't know if some of you were here yesterday and this is your second day, or if it's just your first day. It's been quite amazing to see such a good turnout here as well, and I think it's a really positive sign that we all are acknowledging we have to do something about our diets and also the planet as well. So it's super, super cool. A little bit about me. So I am all those fancy things he mentioned, a qualified naturopath and nutritional therapist. I don't actually practice much in clinic anymore. I apply that knowledge to food, recipe development, product development, more those kind of things. It means I get to play in my kitchen a lot more. And I also, because I'm half Persian, although my mother, who's Danish, fell in love with the whole Middle Eastern and Persian side of things. So we grew up in an environment where we were eating that kind of food. And it's naturally very healthy, it's naturally very unprocessed, and the flavors are very, very unique and different. So, when you go to the Far East, there's a specific range of flavors that you really don't get anywhere else. And it's the same with Persian food. It's really, really quite unique. And so for me, I just love to feed people as well. So I ended up doing lots of cooking classes and banquets, dining events in Cape Town with Persian food, and got traction through that. And that's basically what I love doing. And that way I don't have to have a restaurant and never see my family. I've got my beautiful 15-year-old son there. I have a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 2.5-year-old. So yes, we were bored during COVID. We had nothing else better to do.
I was about to say there's a story there.
So we made another baby, yes. As one does. I mean, what else was there to do, Anyway, so this dynamic is quite interesting. When you're feeding a family, you're stretched in, many directions. I'm trying to keep everybody happy. But one thing I'm happy to say is everybody in my family loves my food, I think. Okay, so very quickly, because as I said, this dish is not technical and it's not difficult, but it just requires time. Muhallabia is a Middle Eastern fragrant milk rice pudding. We're going to use plant-based milk, obviously, today. I've chosen the Simple Truth Barista blend because you definitely want a plant-based milk that is quite creamy, okay? So you're going to need to turn on your snappy chefs. If you need any help, shout. And I don't know how many it goes up to. Claire, do you know? Are you experienced with them?
Yeah, P9.
So
okay. The hottest.
So maybe go to 4, 5, and let's start there. I think they're quite vigorous, and you've got quite there's good induction. And you're going to take your plant-based milk and pour it into your pot. And I'll talk a little bit more about this pudding once we've kind of getting going with warming it up. There we go. Is there gas coming through here? Yeah, there is. Yeah, does it need to be turned on?
No.
Okay, so we're gonna gently start warming our milk. That's okay, guys. You can all start warming it up. And you'll see you've got some cardamom pods in the sugar. I want you to just pick them up and I want you to bruise them. Bruising them actually just means squeezing them with your hands. You could also use a mortar and pestle. Ah, brilliant. If you had one, no worries. It's all good. The more important thing is that they're cooking it. I've already pre-made some. Yeah, well, it may be the ignition. But anyway, guys, so you want to bruise the pods. Bruising the pods, you could do it in a pestle and mortar at home. Otherwise, you can just do it with your hands. You just really want to squeeze them and just so they're bruised slightly and then the skin is slightly open and then pop it into your plant-based milk. And please get a spatula, any spatula you have that looks like this, if you've got one. And one of you needs to just gently, very gently and slowly start stirring the plant-based milk. So just very, very, very gently on your hob. Okay. So we're using the cardamom pods to add flavor into the plant-based milk. Now, of course, traditionally, full cream milk would have been used. And what I love about Middle Eastern desserts, most of them, is that they're all made from very natural ingredients. They're not complicated and they're really also not technical. So we just want to gently bring that liquid up to a gentle simmer. So that's where you're going with it. So you just keep your eye on it. Some of you have slightly smaller pots than others. So, it's going to cook at slightly different rates, obviously. I'm no expert on science, but surface area. So we just want to make sure that we bring it up to a gentle simmer. And this plant-based milk, as you can see, is really quite nice and creamy. Now, we are using sugar, and as you can see, it's white, bleached, processed sugar. You can use non-bleached sugar. That's what I use at home, but it will change the color of this dessert. And it's actually quite pretty when it's a bit more pale in color than when it is like a sort of a brown color. One of the other flavorings we're going to be using in... Okay, cool. One of the flavorings we're going to be using in addition to the cardamom pods is rose water. Traditionally, it would be rose water that would be used. And I've got two that I want you to actually smell. I'm going to pass them around. One was about 250 Rand and the other is about 80 Rand. It's just to give you an understanding of, with these types of ingredients, so the one on the left with the black is the expensive one. And I want you to just smell and pass it round and see what I mean. You can really, really smell the difference. And when you're using these types of ingredients in cooking, you really want to try and go for the most high quality you can. You're not using very much of it. You're using just a little bit of it. So it really, really is worth actually investing and getting the better quality rose water. A lot of rose water, by the way, you find in the supermarkets is not made from distilled rose petals. It's flavored with rose geranium oil or something else. So it's not the real deal. If you want that real floral, heady smell, then that's the one to go for. But I also am very fond of adding orange blossom water. This is even harder to come by. There are a few places in Cape Town, but I'm going to pass it around for you. And I mean, for me, this actually just smells like heaven. It really is much more floral. Rose water, if you're not careful, it can smell a little bit like grandmother's cupboard. You know, that kind of smell that you get, the sort of a bit medicinal as well sometimes, yeah. So how are we doing? Is everybody's milk coming up to the, yeah? So once it starts to steam a little bit, if there's steam coming, you can add your sugar. And again, give it a stir. But if you have a look, we're really not using very much sugar at all. This will probably feed, ooh. Keep it on a low. No, they're very vigorous. Yeah, no, it's an easy mistake to make. That's okay. Just keep it on a low and keep stirring. How are we doing? You also need some. Go for it. Yeah, it can suddenly sometimes all just come to a head. Okay. Once you've mixed your sugar in, bring it to the front. Thank you. Have they had a smell too of the orange blossom water? Okay, here. Let them have a smell. Okay. And you'll see the difference. It's much nicer. Yeah. But again, it's also... Pardon? Are you sure? Yes, there is. Don't worry. You're all good. Just hold on a minute. Hold on, hold on. Okay, yeah. So we're using ground rice, guys. Keep an eye on your pots. You don't want anything to overspill. Lower your temperature. Lower your temperature if everything is... You just want it like a real slow, gentle simmer, guys. We really just coaxing it, okay? Now, in the bowl where you had some of the plant-based milk, actually, let's see. Do we have any tablespoons on the table? Okay. So you're going to take your ground... These are ground almonds, and you can see they have the skin on. And also the ground rice. It's been ground in a spice grinder. You want to put it in your bowl, okay? And actually, you can use this ramekin to just take some of the liquid so that it's half full. Put it in, mix it in with your ground rice and ground almonds, and you want to make a little bit of a paste, okay? Because if we hoy this straight there into the liquid, it's going to be super lumpy. All right. So once you've got your paste with your ground rice and your ground almonds, you're going to add it back into your liquid, okay? And give it a nice stir. And this is where the story really begins. Because what we're trying to do here slowly is allow the rice to absorb and cook in with the plant-based milk. But because we've ground the rice, we've also got a larger surface area, but we're going to get a much more silky, puddingy texture. And just make sure you get all of the ground rice, and ground almonds out. Give it a nice slosh around. There we go. Okay, and once it's in, guys, you really want to, this is really where the work begins, but you really have to just gently, if you have a look at what I'm doing, it's a gentle stir, because we want it to cook, but we also, and make sure you are scraping the bottom with your spatula, constantly moving it, sort of caressing the bottom of the pot, back and forth, slowly, gently. When I make this at home, I make it with a lot more volume, and obviously then it's going to take longer. And what I do is I sometimes, I watch a podcast, listen to a podcast, watch them, because it does take between 30 and 40 minutes if you're using a liter of milk. We're using half a liter of plant-based milk here, so hopefully it's going to go a lot quicker. And traditionally, this dessert is always served cold. So you'll see, once it's reduced, we want the liquid to really reduce by half. And once it's reduced, then we're going to leave it to, there we go. Too much talking. There we go. I tell you what, I'm going to get one of my minions, Joseph. There we go. There we go, sweetheart. You're going to come and help me here. There we go. Okay.
Is that what you have when you have children? They just become minions, Aliya.
Well, I mean, you want to make it work for you somehow. But he's very good like that. Thank you. Just gently, back and forth. Keep stirring it for me. We made it just in time. Okay, so we're not adding the rose water now. We're going to add it at the end. Again, good flavorings like this, which are quite delicate, if you add them at the beginning, you're going to literally start to cook them out of the dish. So we're just going to add it at the end. I'm going to come over and have a little quick peek. Did everybody get a smell of this? This is the orange blossom. Did you really smell the difference between this? It's much more elegant. You could actually even maybe use it a little bit as perfume. I'm just going to come around and have a look. That's great. You can even have it slightly more vigorous, but then just make sure you're scraping the bottom. Let's have a look. That's great. You could even have it so it's slightly more at a bit of a bubble, but just keep an eye on it. Let's have a look. That's great. Yeah, we want to see bubbles popping up, and I think we can see that, so that's good. Maybe you could even push to 2. That's great. Hi, guys. Okay, perfect. Yeah, we definitely want to see it doing a bit of a cook. So those of you with smaller pots, you've got less surface area. We need, yes, all of it. Yes, and pop it in, and perhaps take it up to 2. Yeah, so we can really get it start to go. Now, if you're making this at home, I actually just use almond flour, which is the same as ground almonds, but it's got the skin off. It's made from blanched almonds, and it will have been ground very finely. So you can just use that, and you'll get a prettier color as well, like I said, a prettier, paler color. So you don't have to buy the almonds whole and grind them yourself. And I think sometimes when I've made this, maybe down a bit, sometimes when I made this and I've kept my eye on something else, you'll see suddenly parts of it will start to coagulate. If you just get a balloon whisk and just whisk it back, it'll be smooth again. So don't be nervous if it starts to get clumpy. Also, sometimes I have pushed it through a sieve at the end, or once you've taken out the cardamom pods at the end of the cooking time, because we don't want someone to bite into one of those pods. It can be a little bit too much flavor in one go. You can actually put the whole of the muhallabia into a blender and blend it so that you get a smoother finish. Now, just like hummus or just like anything that you have in anyone's kitchen, everybody likes it a particularly different way. So I know some families like their muhallabia very thick, and others prefer more a sort of a more, not soupy texture, but just a little bit less coagulated. So you can figure out how you like that best, and then how far you reduce it is basically just going to depend on how you actually like it to taste. How are we doing there? Fantastic. Now you can see it's still very, very watery. And as I said, at home, it would take me anywhere between 30 to 40 minutes with a liter. So we're halving this recipe here. That's it. So keep giving it a good stir. Okay, so we use the Checkers, the Simple Truth plant-based milk, and we use their barista blend. So this is really important, because if you're replacing plant-based milk, if you drink it, you can see sometimes that the mouthfeel is not as rich and creamy as regular milk. So it's really important to choose one that is more full-bodied. I use one plant-based milk for coffee, and then I use another for cereals and baking, because you don't necessarily need that. I think they add a little bit more vegetable oil into the barista blend. There's a bit more fat.
Which one do you use
For
for coffee?
coffee, like a barista blend, just
Like almond, macadamia?
look, I oat mostly these days, just because I think a lot of the almond milk brands, I'm not quite sure how they're putting them together. And also, there's very little almonds in there too. When I could be bothered, I'll make my own, which is very easy with cashew nuts. That's a very nice, it comes out very, very nice. And just you can use a little bit of lecithin, which you can get from the supermarket, and it emulsifies the whole thing and brings it together. Okay, so let's turn that up just a fraction, Josie Joes. How are we doing there, guys? Looking good? Yeah? Okay, so while we are making the muhallabia, and this is why I've given you 2 recipes. Oh, are we doing okay? Let's have a look. Yeah, no, it's right, but it's gonna, I promise you it's gonna reduce. Sorry, what's your name? Robin just said it's looking very thin, and it is looking very thin, and you're probably wondering how the hell is this gonna look? Like a pudding. But I promise you it's just time. And actually, this particular dessert, for me, it is really a labor of love. You've seen the ingredients. There's 5 ingredients. It's not a complicated thing, but it's a labor of love. You have to stand over the stove, and you have to be attentive. And for me, it was something my grandmother, my father's mother, Bibi, she would always make me this when my stomach was a bit off or I was feeling a bit unwell. And if you think about it, it's just a bit of milk and a bit of starch and a little bit of sugar. It's a very gentle, easy thing for your body to digest. So, and I always have this image of her actually doing that for me. And that's why I think that it's so beautiful, because it's not a complicated thing, but it is going to take you a bit of time. And you do have to stand there and give it a little bit of love and a little bit of positive intention. Okay. Now, while one of you is stirring, and you can take it in turns, so not one of you is only stirring, because it's going to get boring after a while. We're going to do the second recipe that I've given you, and just to keep us all busy. Now I can take we're going to use your other bowl. I think you've got another bowl here. You should all have another bowl. Yep. That's it. And then we're going to need to make sure we've got some more spoons. Pop those here. Let me just make some space for you. Have you all got another bowl? Okay, that's fine. I'm going to get you one. Yes, keep the spoon. And I'm going to take this. Okay, cool. Let me take that for you. Because what I'll do is I'll just quickly rinse some of them. You need one too. Okay, that's cool. You have also got your bowls in your stand mixers at the end. Let me just wash quickly a few of these. Just hope they don't all collapse. Okay, so the tahini fudge recipe we're doing, I think this is such a fun, easy thing to do. You know, every now and then, I actually don't have a massive sweet tooth anymore after having my third child. I don't know what happened, but I'm very grateful for that. But, you know, every now and then when I'm having a cup of coffee or a tea, you know, you just want something, a little bit, something sweet to put in your mouth. And oftentimes, sometimes after a meal, you know, as well, you just want something a little bit sweet. This is such a nice, easy recipe to do. And I make a whole load. It does have to be kept in the fridge because it'll get a bit too soft and squidgy. But it's just such a delicious treat. Now the trick is, you can see we've got tahini on the table. We've got some cacao powder or cocoa powder. This is cocoa, actually, because it has been roasted. That's the difference between raw cacao, obviously, and cocoa powder. So you're going to get a better depth of flavor with the roasted. You could use raw cacao. I don't think you'd get quite the same taste, but you could. And then we've got a little bit of maple syrup. Please don't use maple flavored syrup. If you are vegan, obviously then your option really is for the maple syrup. Or if you're vegetarian, you can use honey. I would use that as the replacement. Because these days, if you go to the shops, you'll see there is something called maple flavored syrup. And it's just basically sugar reduced with flavoring. You guys have a bowl. You do. There we go. I'll get one more. Two more, yeah? Give me one sec. Okay, so that's our maple syrup. Everybody knows where maple syrup comes from? Yeah? Anybody?
I actually don't know.
You don't know where it comes from. It actually comes from trees in Canada. Literally, it comes out. Yeah, I can give everybody a towel as well. It's a sap that comes out of the bark of trees. It's not literally dripped into a bottle and then sold to you. It's actually processed slightly, so they heat it up and reduce it slightly. I think it needs to go to the two guys at the back, two lots at the back. There we go. Does anybody want to dry their bowl quickly if their bowl is not dry? Just might make the mixing process a little bit easier. There we go. Okay, so you're going to put your tahini. Have you all got spoons? I need to get spoons for a few more people. You're going to need one of the metal spoons. You got one? A metal spoon. You need one. Okay. There we go. Let me grab you some more metal spoons. There are a few here, Bjorn. Yeah. That's great. I think the people at the back, 3 metal spoons. We need another one. We may need to get one also from the kitchen. Let's have a look. I can actually give somebody this wooden spoon. That will also be fine. Yeah, we can do that. Let me just dry it. Have you got the paper towel?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so you've got your tahini, which you want to put into your bowl. This tahini, I believe, is Health Connection Whole Foods tahini. And guys, all tahini is not created equally. So even with this recipe, you can see that this tahini is got quite a nice consistency. It's been stirred. It's also not too dark. You really don't want a really dark tahini for this recipe because you'll often find the darker the tahini, the more bitter it can taste. Okay. So you want a really nice, creamy textured tahini. How are we doing with the stirring of the muhallabia? Are we all managing, guys? Going. Okay. I'm using my fingers here. I'm going old school styly. Okay, and you're going to add your other wet ingredients into the tahini. I think you've got some maple syrup. That's in the pot here. And have a smell before you pour it in. And you can see it smells smoky. There's almost like a smoky flavor in with the maple syrup. Have a little taste with your finger. Look, unfortunately, maple syrup is expensive. It's not cheap. But then again, I just think that you use it a lot less. You use it wisely. I think treats should be treats. You shouldn't be eating tons of treats every day. Very sweet. Yeah, exactly. We don't need to use very much of it. But if you think about it, the cocoa powder is also going to be quite bitter. So you want to pour your maple syrup into the tahini? Yeah. No, don't stress. You're all good. And then we're going to pour in our coconut oil. You should have a little bit of coconut oil there too. Yeah? Before it starts to solidify, because it's been melted for you. And also the vanilla extract. So the vanilla extract we're using today is from Nomu. And they do several vanilla extracts, a paste, and also this extract. Please, guys, if you're using vanilla, don't use essence. It's not real vanilla. I mean, if you're baking and you're manufacturing lots of products, and obviously you may need to from a price perspective, but it's not real vanilla. It's a chemical replacement, or I don't want to call it fake. What's the word I'm looking for? Artificial, thank you. That's a good word. That's the word I was looking for. Whereas vanilla extract is actually from real vanilla pods. Okay, so we want to mix all of that together. Make sure it's all fully combined. And you know, tahini is incredibly nutritious. It's full of calcium. It's got loads of other trace minerals in there in abundance. So it's a really, you know, you're definitely getting bang for your buck. Okay, how are we doing on the Muhallabia front? Once you've mixed in the tahini with the honey, how are we doing there, Josie? It's looking good. It's looking good. Just want to make sure nobody's reducing it too much. We're basically going to reduce it almost by half. Well, looking great, looking great. We're going to need also some bowls to put it. It's looking really good. Now, I know it's still looking quite watery to you, but you also must remember once it cools down, it's going to all come together and stick. And this is where the little bit of a tricky, intuitive part comes with the Muhallabia. And you'll get it after 2 or 3 times of making it. You almost have to stop when you feel like, gosh, it's still looking a little bit watery. We can take the heat up a little bit. Because as it cools down, it's going to coagulate. Okay, we can now add our cocoa powder into the tahini mixture. And again, guys, this is a recipe, but depending on the type of tahini you're using, sometimes the tahini I get is quite, what's the word? It's not runny. In which case, you might need a bit less cocoa powder, or you might need a bit more if you've got super runny, creamy tahini. So just bear that in mind. Maybe put 3/4 of the cocoa powder in, give it a stir. Bjorn, I think also we're going to need people to have a container for their Muhallabia so they can take it home, because I'm going to give them some to try. No, this is for them to try. And I like to dress the Muhallabia that you're making. Once it's cooled, I actually like to dress it with toasted flake almonds because it gives it a bit of crunch, and some pomegranate. You don't have to add the pomegranate seeds. I just think it looks really pretty. I sometimes also put cashew nuts and also rose petals, anything to sort of counterbalance the creamy color. Okay, so you'll see it's all coagulating now, your fudge mixture. Now, in an ideal world, I would say once you've fully mixed this, you put it in the fridge and let it cool. Let it cool for a little bit before you start rolling it into balls. You've got also 2 options. I prefer to roll it into little balls, but you can lay it out in a loaf pan or another one with baking paper, like a square cake pan. You could spread it out in that, put it in your fridge, and then cut it into squares. You have the option to do that. And you should have a plate there. And I think there's a bit of baking paper as well we can pass around. So maybe cut a little bit of your baking paper and pop it onto the plate. It's just going to make it easier for you. How are we mixing it? You need a spoon. You need a harder spoon. Shame. Okay, here, use mine. We're a bit short on spoons at this show. There we go. There we go. Just use that. It's not brilliant, but it will work. I'm going to give you a bit. Should I give you a better bit? There we go. Yeah, we just use the baking paper so it doesn't stick. Okay. Yeah, you can see with yours, because everyone's will come out different. It's going to be quite difficult to get globs out and roll it. So in that case, I would definitely wait and sort of cool it a little bit. It'll be easier to handle. But I'll get you, you can use a teaspoon. I'll show you. Yeah. Take a little bit out, and sometimes just having your hands a little bit wet will help. But actually it does, if you have a look at it, you can actually work quite quickly and then pop the balls on. You put those in the fridge. Just going to give some baking paper to everybody. Yeah, looking good. Super. I think if it's coming together nice and you can pick it up and make little balls, I would just, yeah, I think that looks good. Yes. Oh, no, you need to add 3/4 of that cup. It needs to be like a ball of dough. Yeah? Let's have a look at your muhallabia. Also looking good. Keep going, keep going. Keep going, keep going. Yes, you want to add, I would add 3/4. It needs to be like a dough. It needs to come together almost like a dough. It's looking really good. Keep going. Here we go. I'm going to give you some baking paper. That's looking good. You should be able to work quickly with that. As I said, it would be better if you could put it in the fridge, because then even after 10 minutes. But you can, if you do this, let me show you. Give me your spoon. Just take a little, and you see how it does. It's not actually too sticky. Actually, I'd make them a bit smaller. And then like that, when you take them home, then you pop them in the fridge. Give you some baking paper. Perfect. You see, it's becoming like a dough. You want it to be like that, and then you can just roll balls. You could also even roll it a little bit in your hands. You're definitely going to need to add even more. Good, 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 good. And you can also put cocoa powder on your hands when you're rolling them, if there was some left. Yeah, and then pop them down.
And you should go down, or is it fine?
You can turn that off. You can turn that off. You can turn that off. Have a look. No, we're still going. We're still going. Still going. Still going. We need to try and reduce it a little bit more. Yeah. Just keep going. Just stir vigorously. I know the snappy chefs. Perfect. Lovely. We can turn that off. I'm going to go over with mine, and I'm going to show you. Actually, it might be a bit hot. But I say, let's put it in a bowl, and then I can show you. And then we will give you all some to try at the end. Yeah, that's a good idea. Here we go. I'm actually going to put all of these as well out. Do you want something? Oh, yeah. Okay, now I was laughing yesterday as I made these for you all to try. I did them in different sizes because I thought maybe people just want a little taste. And I have to say it's ended up looking a little bit like a spur from the bush, which is not brilliant. So I probably shouldn't have said that, actually, then you wouldn't have thought it, but now you're thinking it, aren't you? Here, Josie Joes, let's... Yeah, it's hot. Give me a minute. I think, do we have oven gloves anywhere? If not, I'll just use a bit of this. You got to work really quickly. And like I said, if you want, you could just press it down in a lined loaf pan and cut squares the next day. You don't also have to roll balls. There we go. Yeah, I'll tell you what, Josie, I'm going to hold it here. And can you just spatula it out for me? Okay.
Aliya, can you tell us, how do we know when it's ready? What's the key thing to look at?
So ideally, when you're dragging your spatula across the bottom of the pan, you should see it almost like part the sea, like Moses, sort of a vibe, yeah? However, because you guys are using very small pots and we're using a small amount, you're not really going to be able to see it quite like that. Okay, almost forgot something. So mine is finished now, and I'm going to now add in a little bit of my orange blossom water or rose water, whichever you want. So when you guys are ready, those of you I've asked to turn off, I'm going to come around and give you a little shot. And I'm going to come around and show you what it needs to look like. Okay. Right. Okay, so can you see this is finished? But can you see it's looking soupy, but as it sets, as it gets cold,
will get thick.
It'll get thick. I'm going to let you all try some as well in a bit, but I just want to show you. That's the texture we're looking for. I think you're there. There we go. Have a look. That's the texture we're looking for. Yeah? I'm going to let you guys try some of this in a minute, because you've got to add your orange blossom. Can we see? So it's still looking really quite runny. Yours is not quite there, but we're getting there. Have a look. You're almost there.
It's like a porridge.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good, like a thin porridge. Because you'll see, I'm going to show you now, because I've made you guys some. Now, you're welcome to try some warm. It's not eaten traditionally warm. It's eaten cold. I'm going to give you some. But just to have a try, if you want to just dip your... I'm going to let you have a little taste. And bearing in mind, careful, it's hot, huh? As things get cold, yeah, they lose their sweetness. That's why we like to serve certain fruits at room temperature, because you taste the sweetness more, yeah? So even though it might taste a little bit sweet to you now, it's going to lose. You want to try a little bit? Just. And then I would obviously take those cardamom pods out. And the more you grind the ground almonds or the rice, the smoother it will be. You could put this in a blender as well, like I said. We try some? So I'm going to give you some cold just now too. And then that way you can see the difference. I serve it cold. Here we go. I'm going to grab some more spoons for everybody. Here, you guys try that, and then I'll grab some more spoons. Let me take that away for you as well. And then I'm going to also let you... Joseph, why don't you take those around for everybody to try? I'm afraid some of them really do like buck poo, but there we go. There we go, yeah. Dirty hands. There we go. And then will you pass it to these two lovely ladies here? Yeah, no, you're doing great.
Oh, sorry.
No.
It's breaking up now.
Oh, okay, but no. But you know, you just have to do it quick. Look, I think if you just work it super fast,
Oh, okay. So
you see, you're overworking it, basically, or you're just making it harder. It doesn't have to be perfect, just, you see? There we go, there's their spoons. But now I'm going to give you a little bit to try cold. Okay, so some of you are finished. You can pour it into, do some of you have a takeaway container? You do? Okay. So when you're ready, no, the bigger one, pour your Muhallabia into, oh, whoa, actually stop. Let me come around and give you some of this. No? No, so I'm going to give you some of this. Mix it in. That looks fantastic, really perfect. I'm going to give you some of this now, Salon. Keep going. You can come to the front and wash your hands as well if you like. That's done, huh? Is that off? That's done. Turn it off. You pour it in your container once you've mixed in. There we go. Keep going, you're almost there. It's better to go slow with this and get it right than it is to rush it, guys. Because you rather have something that's got a smooth consistency that's lumpy and too thick, yeah? Okay, so those of you still stirring, keep stirring. What did you think of the little fudge balls? They're delicious. They're quite strong. That's why I would always cut small squares or make smaller balls. You can also roll them in sesame seeds or coconut or whatever. We just keep those in the fridge, and then you can just pop one in your mouth. Those can go back in the container. Yeah? I'll let you do that over there. Okay, so when you are cooling your Muhallabia, this is a really, really important thing. You're going to take some cling wrap. You could also use baking parchment. Like anything, a skin is going to form over the Muhallabia as it cools. And you don't want this sort of like thick skin at the top. It'll be a bit leathery and a bit unpleasant. Same when you're making custard. So you want to take a little bit of cling wrap. You should have some there. If not, I'll pass some more around. And you actually want to lay it on top, directly onto the surface of your Muhallabia, so that no skin can form. And if I'm doing this at home, I put this in a Tupperware, and I press it down on top, and then I close it and cool it down. So if you've got, you should all have,
Yeah.
I'm going to pass this around as well.
Aliya, do you want to taste it before they do that?
No, oh yes, that's a very good point.
I just a thought.
Otherwise, nobody's winning a KitchenAid today. Okay, we'll just wait for a few more people who are just catching up, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to serve up some of the ready-made Muhallabia. Now, I've made this with the same plant-based milk you've used today. And you can use your toasted flaked almonds and your pomegranate. Come and wash your hands, yeah? Yeah, I can get Joseph also to help. Use some of your flaked almonds and your pomegranate seeds on. It's fine, I'll do it. Because we want to make sure everybody gets some. There we go. And this is obviously cold. Put some of the flaked almonds on top, guys. Trust me, don't miss out on that. There we go. Slightly big cups. Okay, just guys, be warned. I have left some cardamom pods in mine. So just in case you bite down on one. How many more do we have to do?
All of these.
All of them. Okay, I've got some more. There we go. No, it's all good. Thanks, Josie. You can go and stand on the side if you wish. Thank you. There we go. We like that? It's delicious. It's light. It's fresh. It's not too rich. You could eat it for breakfast. Yeah, I mean, if I'm feeling naughty. Yeah, it's very, I find it a really soothing, comforting, wholesome dessert. You know, it's really not aggressive in any way. Yeah. Go. Those of you who are still working on your Muhallabia, I'm going to come around and have a quick look now, just to make sure we're all good. Lovely. Okay, actually, let me try. We good? I'll bring my own spoon, actually. I think it's probably wise, yeah. Might need a few, so I don't want to taint these days post-COVID. Okay, let's have a try. So you can see I used the almond flour in mine, so it's got one color, but it actually doesn't look bad even with the... You guys didn't add sugar?
Aren't we the sugar?
I'm telling you, your consistency is perfect. Everything is perfect. There's just no sugar. You can, yeah, I would. Mix it in, quick. It's literally perfect, except it's not sweet. It's still nice.
Aliya, cold is amazing.
Yeah, it makes a difference. Very good, guys. How are we doing still? We're almost there? Let me have a look. It's looking good. I mean, for me, that would be great because I like it a little bit thinner. Reduce it just a fraction more. Be a bit brave. Perfect. You're done. Pop it in. That's it. You did add your sugar. That's good. It's looking good. You're almost there. Like, we're literally 2 minutes away. Be brave. Take it up a little. You done? It's good though, guys. It's really good. Well done. Consistency perfect. You'll see now when you take that home and it goes cold, it might even be a fraction thick, but you can decide how you like it. There's no right or wrong with this. You know, it's like just see how you like to have it, but that is excellent. Really excellent. No, it's all tasting really good. Almost there. We've just got a couple more to try. We also need to give everybody takeaway containers for their fudge balls. Please put those in the fridge, guys. Oh, you've got?
I've got these that you
I think they're better off with a bowl or one of those. Yeah, please. Because you want to lay them out. You don't want them to stick next to each other. Perfect. I'll try it again just now. Cool, cool. Yes, yes, yeah. I mean, in the real life, I would put them on just before serving, because obviously you want the crunch from the nut. Yeah, yeah, because then otherwise you're losing the purpose of it, which is to have a bit of texture. I think, let me have a look. You're done. You can pour it in. So if you're making double the amount, guys, it's going to take longer. Use a bigger pot. I use for a liter of milk quite a big pot, because then it will reduce quicker. You won't be stood around so long. But you can watch your favorite series on Netflix while you stand there and stir. It really doesn't have to be a big drama. I like the way you're holding out. It's like an offering to the gods.
Well, you are the god.
Very sweet. Excellent. I'm going to give you guys a little bit more of this, and then you're going to try it. No. You can just mix it in here. Mix it in. And then you guys must try. Have you got spoons? Let's get you spoons. Yeah, make sure you mix it in thoroughly. Might be easier to use one of these spoons to get it properly mixed in. That's for you too. Yeah. Mix it in that corner. There we go. And I'm going to put these out on top for you. I'll give you mine. And then have a taste. Tell me what you think of your own. It's nice and cold, but it's still quite nice warm. Yeah?
Are you happy?
Yeah? Have you got the orange blossom flavor coming through? Did you have enough?
Don't forget to add
Okay.
pomegranates.
It's too floral for me.
Okay.
This one's a little bit more subtle.
Yeah.
I like more.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, well, I used both in this. I used orange, yeah. And actually, in one of them, I also ground the rice a bit finer, just to see the difference in texture.
See the texture's different, yeah.
You'll see when this sets now, it's going to get much thicker. And then you can decide how you like it,
Yeah. I like it warm as well.
You like it warm. You can have it as a porridge morning breakfast. But it's very nice as a dessert, cold. Looking good. I think this will set beautifully. And then make sure you put your yeah. I'll just try it first on its own plane.
Okay, I'll do some toppings.
I'm going to give you a bit more orange blossom water, but that's lovely. I'm just going to get one more. And then mix it in. Have you got a small spoon?
Yes, I'll use a fork.
There we go. Perfect. So you see how it did all come together in the end? How long did that take us? What time are we on now? Okay, so it's about 25 minutes, 25, 30 minutes it took to reduce. So if you're going to use more, and I would make more because it will keep in the fridge quite long, it might take a bit longer, or use a big pot. I think this would serve 4 people. I mean, yours was reduced. No, sorry. In the recipe would serve 4. This is 2.
This is 2.
Yeah.
But remember, we share this portion.
Yes.
1, 1. Okay.
Ah, okay. So the recipe card that you've got should be for 6. But we halved it here.
So this is for 6.
Yes. And it's also, I think I've done a video on my Instagram as well, so you can go on and watch it and see how it's made. Obviously at home, I would put the cellophane on, and then I would put it in the fridge, and I would let it cool, and I would dress it when I serve it. You know, I wouldn't obviously dress it before, but we're here, so everything has to be a little bit higgledy-piggledy. If some of you are working together, but you're not together, we can give you an extra takeaway container if you want to. Okay, all right. So how easy did you find? I mean, it was not a technical thing to make. Would you make it at home? Would you make it at home? Okay, cool. And you could sweeten it with honey. You know, you don't have to you could even use also sweetener, although I'm not a massive fan of any kind of sweeteners, plant-based or not. Okay, so I have to make a decision.
It's all right. Have you made a decision so we can do a drum roll?
And then I haven't tried theirs yet.
Oh. Okay, okay.
Oh, that looks beautiful.
It's a bit hot. It's super hot.
That's just made things very difficult.
So should we count it down? And right? 10, 9. You're gonna help me. Let's 8, 7. Let's clap. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the winner is.
It's these guys over there.
Ah!
You guys, yeah, definitely.
Congratulations, well
But I have to
done.
say, it was a tie between the two. It was so close, but just a fraction. Yeah. If I had 2, I would have given 1 to each of you. Well done, guys. That's not a bad thing to walk away home with. And you guys taste amazing. It also tastes amazing, and the consistency was great. But I think, like any competition, you have to award it to the people who maybe listen to the instructions. Okay, guys, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that. And I hope you'll go home and carry on cooking. And I hope you've learned a little bit of something too today.
Fantastic,
guys.
guys. Thanks so much. Give yourselves a round of applause. And thank you, Aliya.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for joining us.